And here we are. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Angel Heart Radio. It's so great to be with you again today. And Beth and I have a wonderful topic because it's something that seems to be quite current at the moment too, doesn't it, to Beth?
Definitely.
Mm,
Yes,
yeah.
it's growing.
Yeah. So what happens when you feel like, or have you ever felt like, that the bottom of your communications has just fallen out? And the people that you've always been able to communicate with, suddenly they don't seem to understand you anymore and you don't really understand them. And I want to say a big thank you to someone who posted about this on Facebook this morning, because when Beth and I were discussing, we already had a plan, but when this came up, we thought, right, this is obviously something we need to bring forward to Beth and really
Yes,
see if we can open up a little bit and see if we can offer some support.
definitely. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because it's a very tricky thing because, with all the change and changing with this and that, and now our communication or what we thought was isn't in so many areas and,
Mm.
is around us, who we're communicating with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's changing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
before we go any further, everyone, please remember that Angel Heart Radio programs should not be used to replace your legal, medical, or professional advice, nor your own sound judgment, and our opinions should not be construed as advice. So moving forward into the realm of how, when we communicate with someone, and especially if it's a long-time friend, colleague, family member, right? Someone we've known a long time and have always had an easy communication with, as we expand our growth and development, as we take this spiritual journey, our own internal language and our understanding about our life and how we feel really changes, doesn't it, Beth?
It does. I think the biggest thing from what my own experience and seeing other things is things change all the time, but this is just so dramatically enhanced right now. And the energy is moving it forward so quickly. Not taking things personally is probably the biggest way to help all myself and everyone through it, because because if you take things too personally or it's about you, it just everything flares up and gets out of control, and it's not about that at all.
Yeah.
And you've seen
And,
that in your life as well, I'm sure. I have in mine, definitely.
and how
And
difficult is it not to take it personally, right? To me,
yeah,
that's one of I get so triggered around that. And I really have to work at it. I have to bring my attention back. I
yeah,
have to employ these very simple things about being in the moment, so as we know, that's so important. And yet one of the most difficult things I find to
I
do to
know.
do.
It's
Yeah.
such a learnt art. It takes practice and practice. And even when you think you've got it, something comes up again and it'll trigger you again. So it's a constant practice of this. And yeah, it can be really challenging at times because it will bring up your stuff all the time. So I guess the only thing is you can work through it faster the more you can sort of step back a bit and look at what's happening for yourself, what it's
Mm.
being really honest, what it's bringing up in you. That's all you can do,
Yeah.
really, and
And then
know yourself.
sorry, Dom, go ahead.
No, just know yourself in that way. Be aware of yourself
Mm.
in terms of who you are. Whether this is what I do, I own this part of me, or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, that's a bit of a trick, isn't it? But at the same time, in my experience anyway, it really has been the only way forward that ultimately I feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
We were having a conversation this morning on the phone, weren't we, to Beth? And I
Yeah.
was sharing with you that, specific instances, but that I'm no longer in a place where I can just smile and go along to get along. And it's not about forcing my opinions onto others. And it's not even about really, for me, putting my opinion out there. It's
No.
about it's about just daily life, isn't it? It's about the words that I choose to use, the conversations I choose to be a part of, the media I choose to watch or read.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
really, for me, where it comes back to what does true communication mean? And for me, true communication is about that internal communication between myself and the divine and my inner dialogue with myself. That's where it starts for me. Mm.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, we all talk about truth. What is truth? Truth has so many facets and so many levels to truth. And people say, this is my truth, but it can it can get in a bit of a, that can blow up as well. Truth is more is a quiet knowing in the heart, and it's not making anyone else wrong and they have to believe what you believe or this or that. It can only be what is felt in the heart and said in a humble, in a very,
Yep.
just quiet way. This is how I feel. It's not making you wrong. It's just how I feel, and this is what I need to do and
Mm.
say, even if it may cause a ripple effect and may change things greatly. You don't know, but it's
Mm.
not about being right or wrong. It's just what you feel and who you've become in that sense,
Yeah.
without having to justify.
It's that personal truth, isn't it? Again, I
Yeah.
want to state that this is not about projecting our opinions in a way that is at all aggressive or to try and change anybody else's opinion or mind or to have our say. Because every time we get to that point where we feel like we've got to have our say, what's really going on? For me, it's more about I'm not listening to myself. I'm not feeling heard. And that's reflecting back to me with others, right? And so if I feel that way, it's really about going inside and taking notice. Am I paying attention to my own needs? Because every time we try and get out there to Beth, how true is it? We get out there and I'm going to have my say and I'm going to get it. We set up this energy that's combative. And of course, naturally, that's going to come back to us, right?
Yeah, we'll just attract that to us. So yeah, I guess it takes time to go within and just understand what is my truth and what do I feel about this situation, and this is just how I feel, and that's all there is. I'm not competing with you for anything. I don't need to. Yeah. So it's really being honest with what the underneath what's going on, what is coming up. Anger, sadness, grief, whatever that may be there. Having that honest conversation with the self is the most important thing when you go to speak your truth or make have a say as such. Yes. But it's not going to please everyone these days, and I guess this is there was an old fable about the it was when we were growing up, so this a lot of people wouldn't remember it. When the
but king I will.
You'd remember it. The king had no clothes on, but he was like everyone's saying how great he looked. But the truth was, this silly person dressed him and pretended that it was all this new type of clothes. The Emperor in his new clothes.
Yeah.
Do you remember that book?
I certainly do.
And it was how everyone was going along pretending that they were believing what this guy was saying, but it was not the truth. So that's sort of the same thing. In the end, you just have to come out with the truth and it's what's there, without trying to go along with everything else or keep everyone happy or, not rock the boat. But you just have to, it was plain and simple what was said. He has no clothes on. Or his underpants or something like that. Yeah.
No, it was the clothes. It was the clothes. And it pretended that he did because it was the expectation. So, of course, we then oh, no, I won't go there. The whole bag of dice. I don't want to dig. Okay. So, and the other thing is and what really inspired me today was this person who shared on a post on Facebook. It's about, can anybody hear me? Right. I just want to be heard. Sometimes a lot of the time, actually, going on this deep spiritual journey, understanding the power and the vastness of that is really deep, right?
Yes.
Because suddenly people who may have been very dear friends for a long time and that you really felt connected to and really loved spending time with, suddenly it's like you don't quite gel anymore. You don't quite resonate. That's a very difficult thing. And this actually happened to me with a very, very dear friend, twice actually, in that pops to mind right now. And with one of my friends, it was when I changed my name.
Mm.
She kept calling me by my old name, right? And she just said to me one day, "You don't mind if I call you that, do you?" And everything in one, I just wanted to people please and say, no, it's fine. You've known me forever, as you know. But it was like, but it's not my name. So I just said, actually, it isn't my name. And I really love it. And I'd so appreciate it.
Sorry. Yes.
No, you go for it. If you could find a way to build some comfort around that. And anyway, she wrote me a letter and said, we can't be friends anymore, basically. I don't feel like I can be authentic with you anymore. And my first reaction to that was, I shouldn't have said anything, right? I really love her. And I still love her. I shouldn't have said anything. But then I really had that internal dialogue with myself, and it wasn't true for me.
Mm.
It would be exactly the same if someone was calling me Fred or Harriet or Jemima, all beautiful names, right? But they weren't my names.
Mm.
And that was a hard thing to do, and then to come to terms with that. And so what I ended up doing was I wrote a letter back and I thanked her for our wonderful friendship and all the treasured moments and everything that we'd shared together. And that was that. And I didn't ever hear from her again. But it's that being true to yourself, to Beth.
It is. I mean, we've both changed our names, and I've had similar, not exactly the same experience, but people don't like, it's that fear of change. And it comes down to fear of change or something new. We all want to feel safe and comfortable with what is. And humans, we don't like change. We say we do, but we actually don't in the end, because it freaks us out of our safe little box we like to, control everything with. And when someone comes up with a different way of doing things or ideas or this or that, it throws that safety out. So I guess it all depends on how much we react to that. So yeah, I've had friends, not like things, or not like what I have to say, or don't believe, or think, that's a bit weird. I mean, even my family, it's been surrounded by that forever, my whole life. So it's just a matter of really being able to accept that change in whoever we are, and just, it's okay. And we have to learn to let go as well, all of us. And again, that brings up our fear of change as well. So we're all in this fear state, isn't it, about everything?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. And, it's okay at the end of the day. It's very uncomfortable. I have to say, very uncomfortable.
Yes.
And I just want you guys to know that when you see me and I look like I'm not paying attention, I'm replying to people, I'm welcoming people, or, sending a shout.
No, you're just not listening to me.
You're just not listening to me now. What the
listening
heck?
to me. Actually, a lady, I was at my hairdresser's the other week, and this lady came in, and my hairdresser he's very popular because he's great, and he's very busy, and he didn't get back to her. She'd left messages, and she wasn't happy, and she wasn't going to let him apologize, or she wasn't going to accept anything. She was just unhappy no matter what. And he tried to apologize in different ways, and in the end he said, "I don't think I'm going to be the right person for you." But in the end it was like, I've lost my train of thought now. What's it going to say? Sorry, I was reliving the situation. She she was a more mature woman, more mature woman, and I said to him, my mind just was going to different places. I don't think she had been heard in her life because of the number of times she had rung and he hadn't got back to her because he was just upset. I said, just think about that. She may not have been heard so many times as an, I won't say older woman, more mature woman, different age group, you don't know. So it's really interesting, it can come out in different ways that we haven't been heard.
That's so true to Beth. And how wise of you to be able to just inject that little bit of wisdom in that moment. Because at the end of the day, it's so easy to say, isn't it? Oh, they're so difficult. They're such a cow.
Right. And being a guy, like a younger man, he wasn't he was trying to go, this and that. And he said, well, that's an interesting thought. And I said, yeah, you triggered something in her. So just be aware, I think he was going to bring her back, and I haven't spoken to him to see where the conversation could have gone from that, because he's quite intuitive. So I'm hoping, that there could be an interesting conversation go on from there. So
and that's expansive for him as well, right? Because suddenly he then gets to take that in and think about it if he chooses to. And that's the internal dialogue, isn't it? Having a think about things. What does that really mean? What does it mean to me? And sometimes those very simple times, like you shared with him, can spark a much bigger internal conversation. And that is gold to Beth, isn't it?
It is. And, a lot of us have more time because we've been at home more. I mean, part of this shift is like having to sit with yourself and go within is probably freaking a lot of people out, and has done, because you have to sit with yourself and feel all this stuff that's coming up. It's not like going to a Vipassana, but an extended version of it. But being able to speak, where you can't escape from yourself in that way. So it can have benefits, at least looking at that and looking at your own ideas about yourself as such. It's fascinating. It only takes a minute. We can all react so easily to so many different situations. And you're probably better off to walk away than just flare up. Walk away and come back, because I know for myself, I can get upset about things, but if I give it time, that part of me, that wise part that we all have, will, give you a different insight.
So true. That's such good advice. Walking away is so powerful, because there's an automatic triggered response, right? As you're saying, that automatic triggered response, we've all experienced that. I would be willing to bet money on, and I would also be willing to bet money on that, we've all regretted what we've had to say and think, oh, I just wish I hadn't said that. So walking away is a powerful tool. And while we're in this small moment, I want to welcome everyone. Thanks for watching. We've got all these gorgeous people with us. Elaine's with us, Lee's with us, Fiona's with us, Lynette's with us, and the rest is rolled on. I can't see anymore. But it's great to have your company, guys. And if you would like to make a comment, if you want to share your thoughts, just like Lee just did when he says, reactivity versus being responsive. Love it. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Lee. I just put them in the comments section on the Angel Heart Radio Facebook page. It's great to include you, make you a part of the program. That's what we love. Well, I love to do. I know Beth does as well.
I would love more interaction with everyone, to ask questions, anything. It'd be great.
So Tibet's on every second Monday in Australia, every second Sunday in the USA. So this coming week, this coming Sunday, this coming Monday is Tibet's program. And you can find all the details. What time, where, how do you watch, at angelheartradio.com, where you'll find our show guide. It is fantastic. I love it. So So
So
reactive versus being responsive. Here we go. This is where this spiritual quest, this spiritual growth, this journey that we are all on in one way or another really begins to evolve and flourish consciously for us. We're always making choices, right? But then we start to make choices that are more supportive to us particularly and to others, but making choices that support us, that have, I look for a couple of things when I'm making choices. Am I triggered? First off, if so, I need to sit with that, which I find personally extremely uncomfortable. I get sick in the belly because I feel like, how can I fix it? It's my people pleasing stuff comes up really strongly, but it does change over time. And I don't need to respond to that like I used to. So am I being triggered? Am I speaking through kindness? Can kindness of self, kindness for others. We don't have to agree, right? I forgot to say that I turned my phone off. Hang on. Sound down.
Both of us.
So kindness for self, kindness for others, which there is a lot of power in that because there's a lot of scope to feel really connected to myself, to be standing in my own empowerment. And the other thing that I always really try to look at as well, what's the outcome I truly desire? Is it something like, well, I want them to hear what I'm saying, or is it more that I want to be able to communicate in a way that feels authentic and effective to me, and the other person's choice whether or not to be able to be there with that actually belongs to them and isn't my business. And that's kind of the yardstick I try to use. I mean, hey, everyone, I really don't have a halo and I don't have saints robes hanging in my wardrobe. I get triggered like everybody else. Yeah, to stop telling. I get triggered. Yeah, go on.
Wasn't that thing I saw in the back of your wardrobe? No, just kidding. You hid it from me.
It's really, I did hide them. Oh, you know it. But it's really important that we are really transparent about that, because we can look so wise on the program, right?
So wise.
So wise. And then when we get into everyday life, we have struggles going on as well. So, you know what, guys, this is really important. Do not put us on a pedestal, because I know that does happen. I've done it to others. And someone very wise once said, please don't put me on a pedestal, because it's a long way to fall and not much gets done up there.
While you were talking, I always remember this quote from Ram Dass, about we're all real. No matter how spiritual we think we are, and, we're all human beings. And he brought it down so beautifully. You think you're so spiritual, go and spend a weekend with your family.
Yeah, you want to get triggered, go do that. And that's not to poke fingers or point the finger at family. That's where we grow so much, right?
Yeah, we're
diverse people.
We're just who we are. We're that, that 5-year-old child. It brings up all our stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's it's so true. True. So brilliant. We can't escape it all.
No, you can't. Lee says, I've been a strong people pleaser in the past as well. It's the empath part of me. Yes, spot on. The empath part of me that feels everything and wants to fix it. Oh, you're my soul brother. I think you are.
Yeah.
I think the best thing we can do is to sit with it and look inward first, like you're both speaking about.
It really isn't easy, because because it can take you to such deep places that to walk away is just say, I can't talk. I'll talk to you about this later. I can't speak right now, because you know, your mind actually isn't clear because of all the emotion that comes up. It gets all muddled, and the emotion, the feeling takes over everything. So you're not in a clear space to actually say what's really going on. And I guess also it takes, you know, these difficulties and hardships or whatever challenges are there to really open our hearts up, not to close them down. That's the actual purpose of it, to open up, be more compassionate. But you're not going to feel that at first. And, you know, probably at times we're told, you know, anger is a bad thing, or, you know, we shouldn't feel angry, but that's not real either. So it's only what the best use you can make of that energy, you know, productively find a way of channeling that. That's the best way to work with that. But probably the best thing is when you can think more clearly about is and come from the heart space. You'll only get to be able to say this when you're coming from the heart space, is that you want a win-win situation for us both. You want a healing conversation for everyone, and not just me, or, you know, whichever way. And that sometimes can take a while to get to. Not always there first up.
That's so true, Beth. I love that. That's so spot on. That win-win is so powerful. And here's the thing about a win-win that I've discovered anyway. A win-win doesn't actually look like what I think I want it to look like.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly.
It's the letting go. Yeah.
The letting go.
Allowing each person to say what they need to say. You know, to my mind, when I was younger, a win-win was always that I would come out the victor. Right?
Yeah, as we all would.
You know, that's exactly right, because that made me feel, okay, I've been heard. Right? I've been heard. Learning how to be heard is an incredibly deep journey, because when I get right down to it for myself, and if you guys think about it, I'd be very interested to know what you already think and what happens for you with this. When it gets right down to it, it's about how I hear myself. If I hear myself expressing authentically and allowing the other person, whatever their reaction is, but stay in that authentic moment, that's when I've been heard, because I've heard myself.
Yeah.
Right? I've heard myself communicate something that's important to me.
Yes, definitely. That's great. Yeah.
And it can feel like I'm talking into an empty room if the other person isn't receptive to it. That's the courage. That's where courage comes in. That's why you need to be courageous and leave it at that. You know, you can't shore it up. You can't add extra foundations, because really by doing that, you're still trying to get them to hear you the way you want to be heard. Heard
as well, and heard.
The way you want to be heard. Excuse me. You know, the way you want to be heard. And that's sometimes not possible. The other person may not be in a place to do that, right?
No, exactly. Yes, it takes that wisdom just to be okay with whatever. You know, working, you know, with healing, helping others, assisting others over the years has taught me, you know, when I put out something for the highest good, that's letting go and not knowing what that's going to look like. And it can look very different at times. And yeah, that has taught me with the win-win situation, and things have come out different. Like, I couldn't predict how it was going to happen and what it would look like. So it is trusting however that looks like is going to be okay. For that moment, even, it may not even be exactly the whole thing, but it'll be enough for that moment, for whatever's going on, and being okay with that. Yeah, because there's so many layers to things that we're going to be working through, whatever it may be, whatever subject or thing we're talking about. You know, you'll only get what is appropriate for you and that other person at that time. And you can't make that up. It's only the intelligence of the universe will bring that through.
Oh, brilliant. I love it to Beth. I really do. That is so beautifully expressed. Thank you so much.
Thank
Lee says or shares, yes, exclamation mark. Yes. Love it, Lee. Thank you. I often tell myself in my emotions, I hear you and I love you. It's so true that we're the ones that have the power to give that to ourselves. Spot on, Lee, because we are actually the only ones, right?
Yeah.
You know, you could have 1,000 people telling you you're amazing. If you don't feel it in yourself, they're words. When you feel it in yourself, it's joy. It's joy unleashed. It's the power of transformation. It's the power of self-love. The power of self-love is probably the most important gift I've ever given to myself. And it was a very hard one. I had to struggle very deeply with that one because I felt completely unlovable. So there you go. But having that is like, oh my God, it's awesome. You know? Yeah.
It is, that's such a good point. If we all just loved ourselves and accepted ourselves as we are, we're imperfect. Imagine how different the world would be. It'd be so different.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So utterly different.
Absolutely.
And yes, when you sort of getting to that point of that self-love is certainly much stronger when someone can say something and you go, yeah, I'm okay. That's all right, really. That's funny. That's what you have. It doesn't. You don't. You're not crushed, or it hasn't dug into the heart. You go, no, that's actually not right. It's not an arrogant thing. It's just an inner knowing that no, I believe in myself, and I know
it's not right for me. It's not right for me.
Yeah.
If someone bought you a size 55 shoe, you wouldn't try and wear it. You look at it and go, oh, that's not a good fit for me. And so we have these ways of viewing the world and ourselves. And when it's something as simple as a shoe size that's way too small or way too large, instantly, hey, that doesn't work for me. That's obvious. But when it's something like our opinions, our thoughts, we're constantly trying to fit into thoughts and opinions, conversations that don't actually fit with us. And as we go on this journey, in my experience anyway, those conversations get less and less, and I simply don't participate anymore. Instead of sitting there trying to fit in, because it's a size 55 shoe. It doesn't fit for me. Nothing wrong with you. It's just not my shoe.
Yeah. And I feel, what we feel is utterly important changes our importance of things, what is really meaningful. So what we get upset or not upset about changes, or once we come to terms with certain things in our lives, you work through different things and, something you may have upset you or felt strongly about before changes. So, okay, my focus has changed. And I think that is a big thing also, people's focus, what we can, especially these days, what's important, what is so important people are getting upset about in certain areas. I don't mean all areas. And we're being bombarded with is important, supposedly important. It's like sorting out what are your priorities in life. All these things are triggering what may come in as one issue actually will make you look at something else that's important. So rethinking life. And I think if you haven't rethought your life in the last 18 months, I think it's maybe time to do that. Reassess. And so you may be more at ease. It will help you be more at ease with different things and find out what is your truth, what you feel about different things. Will make life easier.
Yeah, it does make life a whole lot easier. Elaine shares, I have struggled with a friendship that has suddenly changed into a political way that I don't follow, and we have had to agree to disagree. And it's been difficult as we've been such close spiritual friends prior to this change, and it's changed our way of being. I completely understand you. The same thing happened to me, actually. And I remember I had a conversation with this person, and I said, we don't have to agree on everything, do we? And she said, actually, no, we don't. So we don't discuss those things. She has her own way of looking at things. I have my own way. And it's been fantastic, Elaine. I don't know whether you can get to a place, I don't even know whether your friend's in that place, where you can say, our friendship's really important to me and I loved everything we've shared. So, if I just would love to continue on and we just don't go there. It may be that this friendship has moved into a whole different realm, because that's the reason, the season and the lifetime, isn't it? Sometimes the season's up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that can be difficult to let go of a friendship that's been a very important season in your life. I've experienced that as well, Elaine.
Yes, me too, definitely.
Yeah.
It's not easy, to let go because of that bond that's been there for quite a while. Yeah.
That's right. But it's suddenly like, as you're saying, yes, we've agreed to do this. See, that's brilliant, Elaine. And that gives it the opportunity, doesn't it, to either flourish or simply begin to, transform into something else. Perhaps it's a friendship that you don't connect, a friend you don't connect with as often, or perhaps it, changes altogether. And it's sad. I found that really sad when it happened to me. And I think that sadness is important to recognize and honor. It's okay to be sad about that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a tender thing to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's like, a breaking off of a relationship, any relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
really is.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I find it's quite interesting how many, I'm not saying Elaine or anyone, but a lot of people say they're very spiritual, yet there's this discrimination, or, you can't say this or that. So what does your spirituality mean?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. What's your definition?
What are your principles? What does that mean to you on condition? It's all on these conditions. We all have conditions or judgments. It's just the more aware you can be of your own, that you can let them go and not judge yourself, obviously. But it's like, what is your spirituality mean? Is it something you put on at the end of the week, or is it something you live by?
And what is your own definition of spirituality? Because what is spirituality to me may be something very, very different to somebody else. And again, that's what you were saying to Beth. It's not about the judgment. Well, mine's right. We all know that. And yours is not, right? And this is something that can be very subtle. And I think it's really important to be aware of this and very careful around it, because somebody else's spirituality is relevant to them, important to them. Mine is relevant and important to me. And there may be points along the way where we can overlap, right? And perhaps there aren't any points where we overlap, and that will cause a natural dissolving, right? Which is a beautiful thing on its own. So it's this whole, it's subjective. What it means to me might be something completely different to what it means to you, to Beth.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, our natures are all different. Every single person on this planet, every being, even animals, plants even, have different natures and different feelings or experiences. Even though it's very similar, we're all different. That's incredible when you think about it. We all have that difference. So it is interesting, and allowing that we all make up, if we're all connected, which we are, imagine if we're all the same blob. Like, imagine this as a big blob. Imagine if we're all exactly the same. It wouldn't be rich. It wouldn't be interesting.
No.
We all
No.
thought the same
Now,
about everything.
About everything. It's going to be quite boring, actually.
Terrible.
Lee says or shares, I agree that we don't have to agree on everything in our relationships. For me, as long as everyone is honoring and respecting each other still, I think agreeing to disagree is normal. I truly think everyone truly just wants to be heard and feel safe to have their own perspectives. Oh God, you're a wise man. But of course, sometimes there's a lack of respect, which then becomes a different story. This is so well observed and shared, Lee. And this is what it is. And when we find, for me anyway, when I have found that I've got that resistance to somebody else's ideas, it's because really at the end of the day, if I'm being 100% honest, which I don't know if there's any such thing when you're human,
Yes.
if I'm being really, truly honest, it's because I really believe I'm right and they're wrong. So therefore, if I believe that, I must also believe my opinion is superior to theirs. That's a murky ground. It's a place I don't want to be. And it's certainly something I don't want to foster, grow, or develop within myself. So when I get triggered, I know automatically and instantly that I'm being called upon to look deeply into myself and be honest with myself without judging myself. Right? I've got to love myself through that. When I love myself through that, I will come out the other side, and I most often look back and think, wow, it didn't even mean anything to begin with. It was just a trigger for something else.
Yeah, exactly. Well put. Yes. When you were talking then, remember, I don't know how it's done now. Remember the old debating teams in school, how kids were taught to debate properly and everyone could see both sides of that. And there wasn't the big drama, like it was really interesting and it was supposed to be fun, and make you think there are two sides to everything, because it was hard to pick between the two. I mean, really, today, is that encouraged in a healthy way, or it's you right, you wrong? It's all the projected stuff in the media, TV, all this, the judgment that you're right, I'm wrong type of thing. It's very prevalent, and I always remember those debates. Not that I was a good debater or anything, but I used to like watching them because there wasn't the animosity there, or it was fun. It was, there was a lightheartedness about it. So people could walk away, agree to disagree, but be okay.
And it's really interesting you should bring that up, because in the story that I'm reading at the moment, they're reflecting back on when they were in the debate team, right? And how the topic was animal testing, and they were on the pro team. I'm thinking, oh my Lord, no. How in the world would I ever do that? And then I stopped and I really thought about it. And I thought, actually, while I am certainly not pro, never will be pro under any circumstances, what it made me...
So
oh, if it gets too loud,
just go and close the window.
Okay, hon. What it did for me was it really got me thinking how to see another point of view as if I believed it. And what I mean by that is not that to see it as right or wrong, but to see the bigger picture. And I thought, wow, this is really cool, because what it's really teaching me in this moment, reading this story, is to the universal message that's coming through for me is, what areas am I being pro, for, or against? So there was a deeper message in that for me. Yes. And to be very aware and very open to letting that discovery come through.
Interesting. Yeah.
Mm.
Yes, debating.
It's tricky. I tell you, it's very tricky, especially in something huge like that. Michael
Yes.
says, sorry, Lee says, absolutely. I find if I have a trigger moment, it's an opportunity to look at something else. Boom.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
Yes.
Wise Elaine is saying wise words indeed. And this is a great opportunity to just really check in with you guys again and just give a big shout out of thanks and gratitude. Because when you share with us like this, it is just so beautiful for us, but it goes far deeper than that. Because we get to read your comments on air, it means that other people who are listening later or in the podcast who aren't seeing your comments get the value, the experience, the generosity, and the opportunity of your comments as well. So particularly, I will say on my shows, I always come back in and answer every single question, every single comment, even if I've done that on air. I know Tibet's very keen to have this gorgeous flow happening on her shows as well. And it really is cool too. So when we've got readings, astrology readings, connection with loved ones and spirit readings, that means you can ask for readings. You can ask or share your thoughts. We love it to Beth, don't we? It's awesome.
I really want to know what people are thinking. I really find it interesting. I love to know, what we can share, what we can talk about. That's what we're here for. That's what we're doing it. Definitely not just to hear our own voices. It's like knowing, it's the connection that is the thing. We want to connect and understand, and also for you guys to know that we, want to hear your thoughts. So what you've got to say is important. Most definitely.
Exactly. As you so beautifully put one day to Beth, and I now have coined, what matters to you matters to us.
It does. Thank you. It does.
It does. Really, really does. And this means that we then get a relationship going. And thank you to everyone. Oh my goodness. So many people are coming to Angel Heart Radio, sharing Angel Heart Radio, liking, following. And while that is really beautiful, actually, for us, it's also great for you, because when you like the page and follow the page, it means that you get to hear what's coming up. So many times, Tibet, someone said, oh, I missed the show. I wanted to be there live. Yeah. Well, when you like the page and follow the page, it means that you get notification if you choose. You can always choose not to receive the notification. That's really cool. I love choice. But then you don't have to miss out on the ones that you don't want to. I love it. It's great.
And, if you're going through, what we're talking about and shifting situations with friends, and sometimes there can be a void where you feel alone, and you've got no one like-minded that you feel like you haven't got any like-minded people to share with or just listen to, we're here. That's the thing. You're not alone, because loneliness is a massive issue on this planet, even before COVID. And that's something I will be covering in one of my shows. But not feeling alone. Just we want to hear what you've got to say, even if you can't find anyone around you at the time to do that. You've got us.
Absolutely. So, and you know what? It is, as you pointed out, through COVID, so many people who have never really spent a lot of time alone suddenly have had to adjust very, very quickly. And that adjustment isn't always easy. So opportunities like we're presenting here and lots of other wonderful places as well. There are a lot of, live streams going out, are great opportunities to connect. And here's the thing too that I really love about this. When making those connections, it begins to bring forward, for me, and I want you to think about this for you, begins to bring forward the opportunities that I've overlooked before. So I'll think, I'll watch that later. I'll do that later. I'll go to the shop later. Suddenly, not going to the shop at all this week, maybe next week. You know, and it's called, but it's what it's doing is it's not even about that. It's calling me to get much more present to what it is that I'm putting off. And how can I support myself to experience in the now, as Eckhart Tolle is so brilliant at sharing and teaching and writing about.
Yes, I think for me, it's brought that home even more. You know, being in the now, just day by day. It's like knowing who can plan too much. Slightly, but you know, we're all having to learn to master adapting to change so quickly, and that can be confronting at times.
Absolutely.
And when you've lived alone as well, you know, it's still learning to deal with this change for everyone is tricky. So yes,
yeah,
definitely,
it really is tricky. But the really amazing thing is, I'm just replying to Lee. So he's so glad he's found us. Woohoo! So am I.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And you're such a great contributor, Lee. I've just got to give you a big shout out for that one. Elaine, you are too. Really value you, as you know. It's really interesting. I was talking with my stepmom. I talk to her every day. June's 94, and she's so, man, oh man, she's so inspiring. You know, she has gone from last year when all this stuff with COVID first started happening to she was just beside herself. She's a very active person. I cannot keep up with her, to Beth. I really can't. She's loves being out in the world, doing and exploring and connecting. She's brilliant. And so I've watched her over this past 18 months. She's now gone from, oh, you know, what if we go into COVID? You know, I won't have any groceries. What am I going to do? To, oh, look, you know, let's make a plan, you know. But, you know, bearing in mind, if, you know, if we're not in lockdown, if we are, well, it'll be all right and we'll meet after, you know. So if someone who's 94, and you think about that, when June was born 94 years ago,
wow.
She's adapted. Her consciousness is so open to being adaptable and finding the benefits. This is very cool. I know a lot of people who make that shift, and it's not pointing the finger at them. It's just when you see it firsthand, you understand that for some people this is very, very tough in deeper ways that you and I may not be experiencing, and we want to support you as well. You're not wrong, but you need that extra support, and we want to provide what we can for you to help you get through this time.
Yes, most definitely. We all can do with the support. Every single person. It doesn't matter who you are, or pretend that everything's okay when you just, you know, it may not be. And even if you're doing okay, I still feel that everyone can do with support, because it's a massive change.
Yep. And being okay. Yeah, and being okay is subjective again. I'm okay today. I may not be okay tomorrow about the very same thing. Now, Marnie Perner, who is on once a month with Annette McCoy, Marnie is gold, everyone. Angelheartradio.com. Go and find out when she's on. Check her out. She's a true blue Aussie, that woman. She's so down to earth. She's a fantastic kinesiologist. She works with the divine. She works with the angelic realms as well. She's great. Marnie talks about her, you know, creating calm amidst chaos is the name of her book. And that's how she comes to the show. It's what she comes to the show with. She's always got a fantastic topic with Annette. And she talks about, where is your stress bucket? How full is it? And gives practical advice, tips and tools. And she's qualified to give advice in this subject. So I can feel, and since I've been, you know, listening to Marnie, I'm much more aware of my stress bucket, to Beth, because it can get very full. and I don't always pay attention to it until it's that heavy. Then I just want to lay on the couch and cry, which is funny to say, but it's not funny to feel. So she's
No,
teaching
it's
me to
not.
be much more aware of my stress bucket. How full is it? Because everybody has
Yes,
stress. It's when we
knowing the
get,
signs.
past the point of the stress that is kind of natural, if you know what I mean, and past that point of managing and having balance with it. When it gets too full, that's when we feel like we're going to tip over the edge of it. We drop the butter on the floor and we just want to,
Yes.
cry for a week. That's when your
Yes.
stress bucket's way too full.
Yeah, it's finding different ways to diffuse that before it gets to that point. I mean, naturally, we've got a certain level of stress we deal with, and that's, otherwise we wouldn't move forward. We just sort of be relaxed and do nothing. So we do have that low level, that low grade, but yeah, it's recognizing the signs when it takes us out of control a bit and into places that you don't want to be, whether it's, food, drink, shopping, you name it. There's so many ways that we find to, addictive ways that we do things, emotions, relationships. There's a plethora of ways, actually. And it's just recognizing which is yours. Yeah, most of all. So, yes, often I think one of the ways to help is understanding your inner child, what it needs, because that's a huge driver. It's subconscious, but it's there. So, understanding your inner child a bit more will help in deal with a lot of the inner stresses and certainly what we're talking about today too, as well, not being heard, all those things. So if you have time, where you can't go anywhere, like do some inner work. Get some help with that. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. So Marnie's website is Kinique, KINIQUE.com. You'll find in the comments. Kinique.com. So that's unique kinesiology put together. Lee says, I like the stress bucket analogy. He calls his a backpack. Darling, get off your back and put it in the bucket, will you? I know what you mean. I really do. Gosh, we're blessed. We have the most fantastic people with us on Angel Heart Radio. And hey, everyone. Oh, my goodness, what date is it?
What?
Guess what? We're 11 today. I forgot.
No.
We are 11 years old today, 10th of September.
Oh, 11 today. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It's no wonder I'm on the show with you.
Birthday. And oh my God, this is so cool, everyone. Beth was with me on my very first show 11 years ago today. And here you are. And we didn't plan this.
No. 15 minutes before they said, come on the show.
So look at that. Wow. Oh, happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday, Angel Heart Radio. You rock.
And remembering the first show, what that was like, that was hilarious. Slightly different.
Bucket, yeah. Man, oh man.
Oh, yes, stress bucket maximum, yes.
Thank you, Lise, and congratulations. It's very exciting. Oh my God. I mean, you think about it, that first show was, no one could hear me for 27 minutes, everyone. Can you imagine? And do you know what the most amazing thing about that was? People waited. People waited. Because I was so...
Sorry.
Go on.
You go.
Because I was so terrified. I'd spent all my life in hiding. And when I got that guidance from the angels about Angel Heart Radio, I didn't think anyone would listen. So it was like I tried. I thought I'll do it. And I only had two fears, as most of you know. And one was that no one would listen. And the other one was that somebody would. So here we are, 11 years later, and we've continuously broadcast for those 11 years.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's a great
have, and Annette
yeah,
has, and you're with us 9 years ago, back with us now.
yes, yes.
Beth was with us for about maybe a year back then. I don't remember.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
You
yeah, I
know,
can't remember.
it's
And the first
brilliant.
show, we were sitting next to each other with one computer,
No
and
microphone.
Naya made me talk, and I had no idea what I was talking about. I think at some point you made me talk, and I didn't know what I was doing. It was hilarious.
It was hilarious. And, we just spoke at the computer. Now I've got a fantastic microphone, got the lighting, got the backdrop, things. And it was very difficult then too. Technology was very different 11 years ago. It was much, much, much more difficult to broadcast a podcast in those days. Really easy now, which is great. Thank you, Elaine. Elaine says happy everything to you both.
Oh, thank you.
So if you've got a dream to do something like this or the guidance and you're terrified, I'm perfect person to be saying to you, go for it. You've no idea the fear. Beth knows.
Yeah, well, I've always, like you, being seen talking. I'm dyslexic. I'm shy. I am shy, and it's like someone hearing what I've got to say. It was like it was massive. Still is. I still get nervous. I still can't, go blank or like today.
Yep.
All these things combined, but you do grow. You definitely grow.
You really do, Beth. And look at you now. And like I am so comfortable in front of the camera now. Give me a camera and I'm on. But that took a really long time. It took 7 years before I wasn't virtually in tears before every single show. Saying, I know I'm going to stuff it up. I know I am. Everyone's going to think I'm an idiot. 7 years it took. So, if you're doing something that's really important to you and you feel really in your heart and in your gut, it's so important for you personally. And say you've been trying and it's not been coming together. Instead of saying, it's not meant to be, say, it's your trigger. All your stuff's coming up. If it's important to you, it's important to the world. It's a wonderful thing to really invest in yourself, invest in your purpose. And I can tell you now that Beth has mentioned it, Beth was terrified, weren't you?
Totally.
And going blank on air is scary.
Yes. And because I find I've got a lot to say, but it's actually getting it out. And so many fears about not being able to say it properly because my things get jumbled. You name it, it's there. But it's something that you work at every day. It's been a long time, a long process, and it's still ongoing. So it doesn't mean that you're there. It just means that you're just working. You just keep going. Doesn't matter what. You just keep going.
Mm-hmm. And you somehow grew your courage to do it, right? And Lee says, I love this. Lee says, I can totally receive that message today. Really perfect timing. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, cool.
That's so cool. Well done.
Cool.
Good for you, Lee. Keep going. Don't give up, because it's quite obvious to me anyway, the conversations that we have, that you've got a lot to share. But not only do you have a lot to share, you've got a lot to give to yourself. Right? It's about what we give to ourselves. And when we give to ourselves with such love, then we have that to give to others. So when we try and give to others without giving to ourselves, that we're depleted, and it becomes, very codependent or people pleasing or whatever it is. We give to ourselves first. Wow. That's when the world really starts to look different, doesn't it, Beth?
Most definitely, yes. Definitely. Well, it's been a credit. Well, it is a credit to you for, continuously, broadcasting for 11 years. Who'd have thought when we first met, filming that our first go at filming things, not even on the first show. This is prior to that.
Yep.
Having to speak in front of a camera, both of us.
Mhm.
Who'd have thought? I would
Who'd have
never
thought?
have thought I
No.
would be doing it.
No, because what happened to everyone was Beth and I went to a workshop because we were both so I don't know, maybe one day I'll have the courage to show what was filmed of me. It was so obvious. I was so deeply terrified. And I kept going to comedy and looking, you know, I couldn't deal with it at all. But I had the courage to try. And that's where I met Beth for the very first time. And I said to Beth, you know what? Why don't you come over to my place and we'll, you know, just practice recording on the computer. No one ever has to see it. And so we did that. It's got painting in the background, which doesn't even fill the screen. The fan's going, so it's whirring. And then we said, you know what? No one's ever going to see this. Let's stick it on YouTube. And so I did. And people started watching. And it was amazing. And then I thought, this is how Angel Heart Radio started, actually, everyone. I got the guidance. But then I thought, I'll make a little video to welcome people to my Facebook page. Well, people started watching it. Then other people started watching it. And then someone watched it and said, hey, want to come on my radio show? And that's when she said, you know, you need a radio show of your own, don't you? And that's when I put it together because I'd been doodling Angel Heart over everything. So Angel Heart Radio. So keep going. Even when the going gets tough, keep going. Reach out to us for support, like Lee did today. And it's not even asking anything. Lee just wanted to know that he received the message. It was in perfect timing for him. Love it.
Yeah.
You're awesome, Lee. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Elaine and everybody else who's been watching. I really value you and appreciate you. And here we are 11 years later, Beth and I are still together doing this fantastic work. And what a privilege it is to share with you from our hearts and offer you the support you so deserve.
Definitely.
Yes,
most definitely. I'm in shock.
Hey, what's that?
That's amazing. It was so divinely conjured today.
Yeah.
Because you weren't actually going to come on today.
No, I wasn't. You guys don't even know that I wasn't even going to be here. I've been having quite a bit of root canal, and which has been actually really good, but it's the anesthetic that leaves me feeling. I said, I don't think I'll go on today, Beth. I'm feeling, bleh. And then anyway, we just started chatting, and then it was like, hey, let's do a show on that. So I'm putting the show guide into the comments section for you. Please do check in with that. It's great.
If you want to put my website in there, that would be nice. See,
neither of us have shared our websites. Like, hello, Beth is thrivetherapies.com.au. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Thrivetherapies.com.au, and mine is angellight777.com. And of course, you can reach out to Beth right here on our Facebook page. And if you'd like to work with Beth, you can reach out to her there. If for any reason you don't remember her website or whatever, she's always here. Yes. So reach out.
Always there.
You can send us a private message, and Beth will get that. All right, guys. Yay!
Wow. What a wonderful celebration. Gosh.
It has been a wonderful celebration.
And thank you so much for having me on the show today. What a great day.
I love it. I love that we've spent it together, Beth. Man, oh man, oh man.
See, this is the universe. We both had no idea until you looked at that.
Yep, it just suddenly occurred to me. God, what date is it? Oh, my Lord. Yeah, actually, thank you. Thank you. It's beautiful. All right. Beth will be back on Sunday/Monday, angelheartradio.com. Get the show guide there. Do you know what your topic's going to be yet, Beth?
It's either on the body or how you talk to your body. How do you actually speak to your body? really makes a difference.
I love it.
Possibly that one, or on loneliness. I've just got to sit with it over the weekend and decide which one. So it'll be either of those two.
And what do you
Yes.
guys think? Do you have a preference?
Yes.
Chat.
Please, I'd love to hear.
Yeah. And you can always come to Angel Heart Radio on Facebook and put up a post. I'd love you guys to do a show on. Let us know.
Would so love that, because we really want to know what you think, what you're needing help with, anything. Yes. So would love to
We'll
hear
do
that.
it. You ask and we're there. All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks to Beth. Another great
Thank
time
you.
of sharing and caring with you.
Thank you. It's been wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of fun.
Mm-hmm. It has. And there's all the dogs in the background. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for being such a wonderful audience, and for everything you do in the world, everything you give, all the love and care and tenderness you give to yourselves is so valuable. And we really appreciate that you're looking after you. And remember to be kind to you, right? It's easy to be kind to others, but be kind to you, because you really matter and it's necessary and needed. And the kinder you are to you, the kinder you will find it, the easier you will find it to be kind to other people as well. All right, guys, lots of love. And listen, Elaine says, I think talking to your body is so important. There you go. You asked, Elaine.
Thanks, Elaine. Thanks.
See?
Great.
That's it, Elaine.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes.
There you go. Jabeth now got her show topic for this coming week.
Thank you so much, Elaine.
All right, guys. Lots of love. Take care. Big hugs.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. I don't know how to do this. Here I do. Okay. Bye.